Oh, hey guys. So good to have a chance to speak with you guys again. I missed seeing you guys last Sunday. It rained right at the time we were going to meet for church, and we weren't able to meet. I'm really hoping to get to see some of you this week. Um, the weather looks good so far, so hopefully we'll get to see each other soon. Thank you, though, for tuning in to watch. Even though we're not able to be together, I still am really glad to have the opportunity to talk with you and to teach you from God's Word. So last week, we finished up our series on living life with God, and it was a great series for me. I learned so much. I hope it was a blessing for you as well. But we're starting something new this week. So for the next few weeks, we're going to be doing some lessons from the book of Proverbs in the Old Testament. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to pause the video for a second, and I want you to find a Bible, if you don't have one handy, and look up the book, find the book of Proverbs in that Bible, or have mom and dad or whoever's watching the video with you help you look up and just find where the book is in the Bible real quick. Go ahead and do that. All right. So hopefully you did it, right? And you know where the book of Proverbs is. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the book of Proverbs, and then I'm going to have you actually look up one of the verses in the book of Proverbs and read it in just a second, and then we're going to talk about that verse together. So the book of Proverbs is a really special book. It's very different from most of the other books in the Bible. And to understand the book of Proverbs, you have to understand what a proverb is, because proverbs it's not the normal way today that we talk to one another. We don't talk in proverbs very much. Sometimes people get mixed up and they think that proverbs are like promises, but proverbs aren't really like promises. Proverbs are more like observations. They're more like people watched how the world worked and then they described it in a short phrase that they could remember. Let me give you an example. I've got a ball here, and if I toss this ball, you'll see what happens. If I toss it up in the air, it comes back down. If I toss it up in the air, it comes back down. If I toss it up in the air, it comes back. And I could keep doing that. What do you think would happen? Well, it would come down, like pretty much every time, unless somebody called it or I got it stuck in something up there, right? Pretty much every time it's going to. So I could write a proverb about this, and I could say something like, what goes up comes down. A short phrase that just communicates an observation, something I've noticed about the world, right? What goes up comes down. And so proverbs are observational. They're things that people have observed about how the world works. And the book of Proverbs in the Bible are specifically things that the writers of Proverbs have observed that lead to a good life, choices that lead to a good life. They're little phrases to remind us of the kinds of choices that lead to a good life. And so as you read through there, you will just find example after example after example in the book of Proverbs of these choices that help people to enjoy and have the best life possible. So we're going to look at one of those. I'll give you an example. We're going to look at one proverb for the next few weeks. Today we're going to look at a proverb that is about arguing. So I want you to look up the proverb first. So if you have somebody there to help you, have them help you, and look up, you're already hopefully at the book of Proverbs in your Bible, look up Proverbs chapter 13, verse 10. Proverbs 13, verse 10, and pause the video for a second and read that together with whoever's watching the video with you. Go ahead and do that now. Awesome. I need some music that plays or something there while we wait for you guys. But yeah, hopefully you went ahead and you read that together. So that proverb talks about arguing. It says that pride leads to arguing, but those who take advice are wise. So what it's saying is that taking advice instead of being argumentative leads to a better life. It's a better choice. Now, in my family, we have some problems with arguing. I don't know if there's problems with arguing in your family, but my kids love to argue with me. One of my kids, Emma Jo, who's grown now, argued with me so much that I used to have to stop her and say, Emma Jo, I know that I'm right. I'm not telling you something I think might be true. I know that what I'm saying is right, and you're arguing with me. So let's find out. And then we'd go find out, and we'd find out that I was right. And then I would make her say 3 times, Daddy's almost always right. Daddy's almost always right. Daddy's almost always right. Because it drove me crazy, because I'm like, I'm not making stuff up. I know what I'm saying is right, and you're arguing with me anyway. Right? Well, that, according to this verse, that doesn't lead to a healthy life. And I want to not throw Emma Jo under the bus. She's grown up a lot, and she's not like that now, like she was when she was little. But having that kind of attitude, arguing instead of listening to and taking the advice of people in our lives who are in authority, especially in our lives, is a bad choice. It doesn't lead to the best life possible. Instead, when our mom and dad or grandma and grandpa or friends that we trust or pastors or people in our teachers or people in our lives that we trust give us advice, we should take that advice, we should weigh it, and then we should accept it, especially when it's from people that we know and we can trust, right? That is a wise choice. That is more likely to lead us to the best life possible. I have a story that I'm going to read real quick to you that I think just illustrates this proverb really well, about a person, in this case it's a bug, who just has a hard time listening to her friends and accepting and acting on their advice. She is prideful. She won't listen to them, and it works out very bad. It does not lead to the best life possible for her. So let's read that real quick, and then I'll come back after the video or after the book and talk about it. Breaking Out of the Bunglebird by Aaron Reynolds. Pride only leads to arguing, but those who take advice are wise. Proverbs 13:10. In the jungle of Bungle Magungle Matu lived a mosquito named Flea and a butterfly, Sue. 2 better friends you have never seen ever, and will stay best friends, they would say, till forever. But as sometimes will happen with friendships that are best, that friendship will sometimes get put to the test. Darling. And that is what happened one day last July to Flea Mosquito and Sue Butterfly. They were standing there sharing some bungle fruit punch when a bunglebird flew by and ate them for lunch. The lights all went out, and they felt themselves falling. They tried to crawl up with their very best crawling, but they hit with a splash. The air was quite smelly. Then they looked. There they stood in a bunglebird belly. "No, this can't be," shouted Butterfly Sue. "We've been swallowed up whole. Now what do we do? I'm too pretty and young to be lunch in this way. I have flights yet to fly. I have games yet to play." A butterfly panic attack was at hand. If you've ever been eaten, then you understand. There was only one thought on the mind of Sue now. We've got to escape from this bunglebird. How? She said, the time has come for great thoughts to be thinked, for ideas to be hatched, for a plan to be inked. For any ideas far-fetched or absurd, we must form a plan to break out of this bird. So silence came over the 2 in the tummy of this bird who had thought that these bugs would be yummy. They thinked and they thinked, and they thinked some more. They thinked and they thinked till their thinkers were sore. Until, lo and behold, the mosquito named Flea jumped up and said, "Sue, I have an idea." "Oh, be quiet, Flea," said Butterfly Sue. You've upset my thinking that I'm trying to do. Flia stood there and tried to pretend that she hadn't been hurt by her very best friend. Their problem was tricky, no time to be smug. After all, digestion waits for no bug. Flia tried to be patient. She tried to be true. And so she just sat there thinking with Sue. They thought and they thought and they thought and they thought till their foreheads were wet and their feelers were hot, till Flia decided she'd try once again to spell out her plan to her butterfly friend. I've got it, said Flia. It's not a bad plan, but Sue stopped her and said, You interrupted again. I'm trying to think of a way to get free, but I can't concentrate with you yapping at me. Well, my focus is broken. You might as well tell of this wonderful plan that you've thought up so well. And so Flia Mosquito began to explain the idea she'd invented inside of her brain. We could climb up the throat, up high to the head. Every bird, I think, must at last go to bed. And when it's asleep, we can tell from the snoring. We'll pry up its beak and be long gone by morning. Climb up the throat? Pry up the beak? Sue scoffed at her friend. No, your plan is quite weak. We could sting the bird's throat. That idea stinks too. Tie its gizzard in knots. Wake me up when you're through. Her list of ideas had come to an end. Flia turned and she looked at her butterfly friend. You're my very best friend, but I really can't see. All these ideas I've got, you won't listen to me. Yes, Flia, Sue said, you're my friend, this is true. But that doesn't mean I should listen to you. I'm older than you, and I'm wise, can't you see? The one to come up with the plan will be me. And so Sue, Butterfly, she sat down and she thunk. And she thunk and she thunk and she thunk and she thunk. And while she was thunking and thunking this way, Flia Mosquito, well, she climbed away. And later that night, the mosquito got out, but up the bunglebird's throat through the bunglebird's mouth. She slipped out of the beak while the bird was asleep, and she did the whole thing without making a peep. And, well, not so lucky was Butterfly Sue. She never came up with the right thing to do. The butterfly thought only she knew the way, so she probably is still in that belly today. It's really too bad. If she'd taken advice, then her story too might have turned out quite nice. So, if you ever get eaten and are close to your end, please listen and take the advice of a friend. All right, so what do you guys think? That didn't work out well for her at all, did it? If she had just listened, she could have escaped just like her friend did. But her pride caused her to argue and not be willing to accept the advice of a friend and act on it. Did not lead to the best life. And guys, that's what this proverb from the book of Proverbs is telling us, right? It's telling us, be careful to listen to and take the advice of the people in our lives that we know love us and that we can trust. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was an honor to get to talk to you. Can't wait to see you on Sunday. All right. Bye.